For the past weeks, we finished the content of the 8 consciousness in the 100 Dharma. And today we will continue to talk about the mental factors. Usually when we talk about the mental factors, it's likely to relate it to the current psychology topic. And since the core function of the mind is with the 8 consciousness, yet the most close bounded mind reaction are the 51 mental factors in Mahayana traditions. If you check the Theravada tradition, they have 52 mental factors. And there are some differences, but majors are the same. And so if you remember the history of Yogacara development, masters consolidate 660 dharmas into 100 dharmas to simplify the explanation of the mind actions. And today, the mental factors, there are 51 in the Mahayana tradition. So I'm going to talk about that. And from this diagram, you can just recap what we are right now. The so-called mundane Dharma has including the 8 consciousness and 51 mental factors. And later on, we will talk about form Dharma, 11 form Dharma, and the 24 pseudo Dharma. And then the super mundane Dharma is called unconditioned Dharma. Okay, so the 51 mental factors can further classified as 6 type. So today, hopefully we can cover ABC, and next talk, DEF. And the first one, this is the summary of the 51 mental factors or associates. On a separate note, if you check from the literature or the websites, you will find different kinds of translation for these 100 dharmas. The term have different translation in English, but if you check out the references, please double check with the content and to see if the term that you are looking at is equal to the term that you are checking with. Okay, so the first type is called, omniscient present factors, or universally interactive or always active mental factors. So from the name, you will know that this mental factor is always on all the time. And the type B is called object determined factors. There are 5 of them as well. And this so-called object determining factors means that it's not always on. It depends on the objects that you are contacting with. And really depends that your judgment, your values, and then you will have different object determined factors arise. And type C will get into the so-called wholesome or virtuous factors. And then the others are afflictions and changeable factors that we will talk about in the next week. Okay. So the type 1, the omnipresent factors, for all the 8 consciousness, all of them need these 5 mental factors to co-arise in order to perform the function for each consciousness. And so this is very important to understand what these 5 factors are, and it will help our practice as well. So the 5 of them include 1, the so-called contact or touch. It's sensory. It's not necessary to be like your body touch something. It's a sensory contact. And the second is attention. And then 3rd, feeling or sensation. And the 4th is called thinking or perception. And the 5th one's deliberation or volition. So the one that I highlight in red are the term I'm going to use in the following slides. And so usually, most of the time, the sequence of the mental factors reaction will be first contact, and then attention, sensation, perception, and volition. Okay, but some master or some sutra or sastras will use attention first before contact, and then sensation, perception, and volition. It has the reason, but here I use contact to start with, is because I give an example. When I see something, okay, if I want to see something, then I need to have eye contact with that object before I can tell what that thing is, okay? But oftentimes, if you are absent-minded, okay, something show up in front of your eyes, I think our eyes see something, but you're really not seeing something, okay? So that's when we call you are absent-minded. Same thing apply to the hearing, the smelling, tasting. Some people, when the mind is on with something and you're eating and you don't know what you have eaten. So that's because you don't have attention. You have contact with the 5 objects, with the food, with the sound. You have the contact, but without attention, then you will not generate the so-called 5 consciousness to tell what those things are. So contact and attention. Contact come first and then attention. But sometimes attention need to come first, then contact. For example, if you don't know something, some people stand behind you, you won't turn around and look at who that person is. So it is like somebody need to give you a hint, like timekeeper in the retreat. And the timekeeper want to alert you that, hey, I'm behind you, wake up, something like that. So the object will grab your attention first, because before your 5 organs can have direct contact with the 5 objects. So both sequence works happened. Contact first, then attention, or attention first, then contact. So these are the two types of occasion, and both will happen in our daily life. And once we have a contact and attention, then the object interact, contact, and our consciousness have a sensation, and we talked about that earlier. The sensation is like either is pain or suffer or joy, happy or neutral. Okay, so for example, if I like gray color, and then when I see gray color, I feel happy. Okay, but if the gray color is too bright, too bright, then my eyes cannot tolerate the brightness of the color. Then the sensation is like is not feel comfortable, and the perception is bad, and then volition, you will automatically close your eyes because it's too bright. Okay. And also the same logic applied to the first 6 consciousness and or even the 7th consciousness. But in our daily life, we can watch ourselves, the first 6 consciousness, how we operate with these 5 steps. But usually it happens very fast. And oftentimes, for the first 5 consciousness, it's very direct response to the object. And the 6th consciousness is the one that we can, have the direct control over it. Okay, so I will talk in more detail. So the contact attention, okay, so like I said before, the attention can come first or come later. But the contact need 3 parts to make it happen. So the contact happen only when the organs and objects and consciousness come in together. Then we call it contact. So in other words, if you have no object, of course you have no contact with. And if you have no organs, for example, you lost your, just like the COVID, you lost your sensory, the tongue sensation, and you taste all kinds of food without any taste. Then your organ lost its function temporarily. Then you cannot have the direct contact with the food. You cannot taste the food. And then so your consciousness just tell you nothing, no spicy, no sweet, no salty things in your mouth, and it's tasting. Okay, so and also if people just if you lost your consciousness, for example, you just like have a stroke or something, you just pass out, and then even the organ and object interact, but you don't have the so-called contact here. So here, and or for the dead people, the people just die, and the organ's still there, but when you touch the people's hand, there will be no contact. That's why we define the contact. So the consciousness, the object, the organs need to directly interact with each other before for the further the further reaction of the mind. Okay, so here is the example of how we process the 5 omnipresent factors here. This is just an example, and you can give more example in your daily life. First, we see a movie star, beautiful movie star. We have a contact, attention to that photos or the person. Okay, if you're lucky to have this chance to see this movie star. And then immediately you will have a good feeling, like, oh, so beautiful. And the sensation is good feeling, not bad feeling, okay? And then your perception is so lovely, lovely. And then your volition will tell you, I like her. She's so beautiful, I like her, okay? But for your boss, who scolds you all the time, when you have a contact and attention with your boss, and then you automatically have a bad feeling, like feel bad. I don't feel good. And then my perception is I become nervous. Mind and body become nervous. And then your volition will tell you, I hate him, please disappear. Don't come into my office or something like that. But this is further reaction to your volition. The volition just like, I hate it, I don't like it. I don't like this person. Okay, so that's the process. Okay, and for your first 5 consciousness, the same thing. You taste chocolate or cola, and then your sensation, even though the bubble is irritating your tongue, but you have a good feeling with that bubble, with the sweet. And then you feel like this is so lovely, that this is like, oh, I feel so good. And then your volition, I like it. I like soda. I like chocolate. Okay. And then your tongue will want to taste more. Okay. And same thing if just like I said, like you like the music. When you hear the music, you make up the music smooth your mind and body. The sensation is good, and your mind is calm and peace, and you like it. But the same music, when the sound is very, very loud, your ear cannot tolerate the sound. And then the same music, you have a bad feeling because your ear is hurting. And then the same music become like is intolerable, and your volition is like, I cannot hold it anymore. I want to turn it down. Okay, so these 5 process, we can check it in our daily life. But the problem is when in our daily life, our perception is not just like one by one. It's come all together. For example, like in Taiwan, for Chinese people, some of them like stinging tofu. Okay, it smells bad, but it tastes good. Okay, so your nose, you're smelling. Your nose doesn't like it, but your tongue like it. So what your volition will end up with? You like it or you don't like it. That it depends, which one win, so-called win. If the taste is overwhelmed, then the smell, then you will choose like, I like it and I want more. Okay. But if the taste is bad, but smell is good, and then most of the time people will choose just smell it and don't taste it. So, and also if there is a movie star so beautiful, people like it. Okay, when you see that beautiful movie star, your eyes tell you that I like it, I like her. But the problem is your 6th consciousness tell you that this girl looks like your ex-wife or ex-girlfriend who treat you badly, and you don't want to look at that person anymore. Then your 6th consciousness will tell you this girl is bad. But she looks good. Otherwise, she won't become your wife or girlfriend earlier. So now your I consciousness is fighting with your 6th consciousness. And oftentimes the 6th consciousness will win, okay? Most of the time. We'll talk about later. Here. Because the 6th, or in among the 8 consciousness, the 7th and the 8th, we cannot feel it. Okay, for the very deep practitioner, maybe 7th consciousness, but for ordinary people, we really cannot know where the 7th and 8th consciousness are and how they operate. So for us, we can only know the first 6 consciousness. Among the first 6 consciousness, the 6th consciousness volition is what we call the entity of the karma. it is because only the sixth consciousness will drive our body, speech, and mind to react to the object and to create karma. Okay, if the light is too bright and you just close your eye, it's not it's a body action, but it won't create karma. Okay, but if your boss talks to you, you don't like him, and you just close your eyes, and then you will generate even more tensions between you and your boss. Okay, so that closing eye is driven by the sixth consciousness, and especially the volition. Then this action will create karma for that scenario. So oftentimes we saying that no matter what method we are using, or even you practice psychology, you practice meditation, you practice different religions, but most of the time, majorly, what we can change dramatically is with the sixth consciousness. And if we more specifically, the violation of the sixth consciousness, because remember, the violation of the sixth consciousness will make our bodies, speech, and mind to react, and it will create karma. And that karma will plant different kinds of plant seeds in our eighth consciousness that will influence in our current life and our future life. Okay, so just remember this. And then so get back to the last talk, we talked about that when the organ and object and consciousness get in contact with each other, and then it is the volition of the sixth consciousness will decide that I'm going to affiliate with the wholesome mental factor or unwholesome mental factor. Okay, and these mental factors, okay, is a key for us how we behave in body, in speech, in mind, to create karma. Okay, so now we put the sixth consciousness and the mental factors here. So the violation of the sixth consciousness will quickly or simultaneously associate with the mental factors, and then to initiate our reaction to create further Dharma. Okay, now there are, so if you have studied the 5 aggregates, the 5 omnipresent factors, the relationships with the 5 aggregates are like this. So the 5 aggregates include the form. This is the material world. And the spiritual world include the sensation, perception, volition, and consciousness, and many 6 consciousness. Okay, so this is a spiritual world, and the form is the material world, and this compose our life. Okay, and for the 5 omnipresent factors, the sensation and perceptions are equal to the sensation and perception in 5 aggregates. Okay, so these two mental factors of the 6th consciousness played a key role in our spiritual activity, or mental activity here. And the volition is majorly the consciousness here in the 6th consciousness here in the 5 aggregates. So this is the relationship of the 5 omnipresent factors with the 5 aggregates. And so as you can see that actually, if we fully understand the 5 omnipresent factors, reactions or functions, and we will know how the 5 aggregates operate. And here, the violation in the 5 aggregates include all the mental factors except the sensation and perception, because these two are very important. So it independently point out as a one aggregate for each. Okay, so I just briefly bring up the relationships with the 5 omnipresent factors with the 5 aggregates to show you how important these mental factors are. And also try to point out among the first 6 consciousness, and the 6th consciousness is the most important one for us to practice on, okay? And here is the 12 links of dependent origination, okay? We talk about the ignorance, volitional formation, consciousness, name and form, and 6 organs earlier. Right now, the contact, the sensation are equal to the 5 omnipresent factors, contact and sensation, okay? And the perception and volition equal to the craving here in the 12 links of dependent origination, okay? So, and this is also the key point for us if we want to reverse the 12 link of dependent origination. Okay, so this is ordinary people's process. From ignorance to consciousness, to name and form, to contact, craving, to rebirth and aging and death again. So this is ordinary people's cyclic existence flow. For practitioners, we try to reverse this flow, reverse these 12 links of dependent origination and try to break it up. Once we can break these 12 links of dependent originations, and then we can cut off our vexations, cut off our attachment, and even cut off our ignorance if we go to very high level, okay? So for this 12 link of dependent origination, oftentimes the most major 2 parts that we can cut off are first, ignorance. We can use the direct method like Chan, direct method, directly cut off the ignorance, but you need to have a very sharp root, very great root in order to do that. Like our ancient, some great masters, like the 6th Patriarch Huinan, he did not study a lot. He didn't learn a lot Buddha Dharma before he get enlightenment, just because he heard a sentence from the Diamond Sutra, then he cut off the ignorance, and then he got enlightened. Okay, of course, the enlightenment had different levels, but for ordinary people, our major focus will be cutting our craving here. If we can cutting our craving here, we are cutting our perception and volition, discriminal perception and volition. And majorly, we talk about the 6 consciousness, perception and volition here. And if we can cut off this step, then we will not have further the so-called grasping and possessions. The grasping is the body, speech, and thought that driven by the violation of the 6th consciousness. And then we commit further karma, okay? And this karma will store in the 8th consciousness, store in our, become our ignorance, more ignorance. And then our karma will take us to our future life. Like I talked about that in the 8th consciousness earlier last week. Okay, so this karma will bring us to our future life, and the 6th consciousness is the key that make the seeds of our future lives to ripen, okay, to ripe. So from the 12 link of dependent origination, we can see that the 6th consciousness played a major role in different steps that drive these 12 links of dependent origination. So I use this, the 5 aggregates and 12 links of dependent origination to show you that how important the 5 omnipresent mental factors are, as well as the importance and the key role of the 6th consciousness. Okay. So from, I repeat again, from the verses delineating the 8 consciousness by Master Xuanzang, it described the 6th consciousness, saying that it is the most influential driving force behind our physical action and speech. So in our daily practice, actually what we are watching, what we are mindful with, is always with our 6th consciousness. All the body, speech, and thoughts that we commit are driven by the 6th consciousness. So we need to have a method. We need to have a mindset that, you know, first train this monkey mind, that is 6th consciousness, to be in control, you know, to behave, to discipline, okay? And then further train the 6th consciousness to calm down, okay? Calm down and then see what, quote unquote, see what things really are without discrimination, without judgment, and then further, go further. So we, in our daily life, we got to have a method to train our 6th consciousness. Okay, now next, the 5 the so-called object determining factors, okay. It has like desire, firm conviction, so you have faith in some understanding, and the mindfulness, concentration, and forming views. I like the forming views more than wisdom, because the wisdom here is not the wisdom we talk about in the in Chan or in 6 paramita. Okay, it's basically the forming views that you think is precious. Okay, so the desire is again, this is object determining. Okay, so it will not arise for each contact. The contact need to be very special for us to have object determining factors. For example, I'll give more example. For example, you like something, then you will have a desire. And then you definitely will have firm convictions before you will memorize it or keep thinking about it, okay? And it got to be even more meaningful for us to think about that all the time, concentration. And then you threw all your mind into that object or that contact. And then it got to be very, very special in some occasions that you will form in the views because of these concentrations, okay? Here, because this movie star is so beautiful, right? Because your boss is so bad, so mean. That's why we will have the further, we will initiate our 5 object determined mental factors. For the movie start, I want to see her again. Even looking, either Google her photos in the past. I just want to see her. Or you want to see your girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, ex-wife or ex-husband, whoever you like, you will find your way to see her or see her photo again. And then you will have the so-called decision or a face that she's the most beautiful girl in this world. She's just so beautiful, even she get old. Okay, so this is your understanding of her beauty. Okay, and then you will think of her, keep thinking of her. When you see Tiffany, okay, you think of this. Whenever you see Tiffany products, you think of her. Okay, you keep mindful about this movie star, and then you start to have a daydreaming, just like kind of like in a samadhi state. You sit there thinking about her for 1 hour, 2 hours, without drinking, without eating. Okay, just like we sitting in the meditation hall. Okay, but this concentration is not samadhi. It's just like a concentration. And what's the wisdom? What's the view that you forming with this movie star? I don't know. Maybe just like you forming a view like she is so beautiful because she has a she has a very special life journey. She is very elegant or something, okay? And for your boss, okay? Because your boss scold you all the time. Every time you see him, you get nervous, okay? And then your desire is try to avoid him, try to avoid him in the office, try to avoid him in the street or in the supermarket. Try not to see that person. So this avoid is also this trying to avoid him is also a desire, okay? And your face, your understanding for this your boss is that she is a terrible person. She is mean. She appears person without good heart, okay? And then you will be mindful about him is you will be alert all the time about his presence, okay? So in work, in the office, you will keep alert, watch your boss coming or not, okay? This is also mindful because you have to remember it, to watch him all the time. And then if you alert, you have to be alert 24 hours, okay? Then eventually you depress because this nervous, this upsets is with you all the time or most of the time. And it becomes a so-called concentration. Your mind and body concentrate on this nervous from your boss all the time. Then depression comes. Okay, and so what is the view? What is the view about your boss? Okay, he is just a bad person. Okay, and then he created a bad karma, and eventually something happened to him. So no wonder his wife divorced her. And then you will form in a view to judge this person. Okay, so this is a process after the 5 dominant present mental activity. Okay, and if something like drinking water, you still have this attention, contact, sensation, perception, volition, but you will not generate the desire, decision, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. But in the daily life, when the water is available all the time, But if you are in the desert and then you don't have water, then you will have the 5 object determined mental factors arise. Okay, so these 5 object determined mental factors will arise or not. It really depends on the conditions and the object, and it's not always the same. Okay, it depends and it will change. Okay, so here, but the problem is this is for the first 6 consciousness. For the 7th consciousness, it only has the wisdom part. The 7th consciousness does not have the desire, the understanding, the mindfulness, and concentration. The only mental factors of the object determined mental factors for the 7th consciousness is the forming views, like the 7th consciousness insist that the object components of the 8th consciousness is me. Okay, this is me. So I like what I like, and I try to avoid I don't like, or I even try to dismiss what I don't like. Okay, so because you are hurting me, or you're hurting my feeling, you're hurting my body, and so I don't like it. I will try my best. I will initiate. We will talk about that. Other mental factors try to do something. And so, and the same thing for what we like. We keep thinking about it. We keep thinking about it. We try to have it because I need it. I want it. Okay. So this 7th consciousness is actually the 7th consciousness does not do anything. It is the 7th that drive our bodies, speech, and mind. But because the attachment of the 7th consciousness to the 8th consciousness, to think that this is me, and because of the view of I, then the 6th consciousness will do a lot of things and generate a lot of affliction and craving. Just try to protect this I, me, mine. And so these mental factors of 7th consciousness of forming view is simple but terrible. Okay. Now, by understanding of this, what we can change, what we can practice on is maybe we cannot stop our volition. Okay, we can blindly tell us, I don't like it, or I like it. You force yourself, you denied your volition. That's not wise. Okay, if we cannot change our volition yet, okay, and then we just accept it. But what we can do is to work on the 5 object determined mental factors. The desire, yeah, I have desire, but I can have less desire. Okay, I can like that object less, or about the understanding of beauty of a mean, terrible person. Maybe he is a good father at home. Okay, maybe he has too much pressure from his career, or maybe he has financial issues, so he need to push his workers so hard. So the so-called concept of a mean, a terrible, a beautiful, we need to change. Maybe everyone has their own beauty. We need to, we don't need to like choose this as beautiful and this is ugly, and try to make it more not discriminate that much, okay? And try to sympathy or empathy with the person we don't like. And then relax, okay? Once we think about that person, no matter is we like or we don't like, then we drop it. Don't make our mind attached to that object, because the object is actually created in our mind. And we will talk about that in the form Dharma. Then we will realize that what we attach is our own mind, okay, not that object, indeed. Okay, so by practicing understanding that, we lessen the influence of the 5 object-determined mental factors, because this will keep our body, speech, and mind make more karmas and do more body, speech, and mind actions with that object. Okay, but this is good for practice. So these 5 object-determined mental factor, if this is for the craving or the hatred or ignorance of the scenario in our daily life, we need to drop it. But if this is for practice, for example, I know that I need to meditate 1 hour a day, but I don't like it because I have leg pain. I don't have time. I have too much thing to do. And I need to check with my Facebook all the time or my Instagram or something, I don't have time. Then we have to generate desire for practice, for meditation. And we need to generate more understanding about the meditation. And we need to be more mindful about, we need to practice every day, I need to practice 1 hour, do a checklist, check it every day. Force ourselves to be mindful about this practice every day. And then one day it become our habit. I need to meditate every day. It become my habit. Just like wash our teeth or eating meals, become a habit, it become a routine. And then through the meditation, one day, hopefully, we will generate true wisdom from our practice. Be it like, oh, meditation is good for health. I have something, stomach pain before, and through 3 months meditation, it's gone. And it's also your wisdom. And you keep telling people, meditation is good for your health. And that's become your faith, become your wisdom, okay? But if this is a bad thing in the daily life, for example, you have to spend hours with your cell phone. Just look through all the things. And the cell phone become your attachment. Then we need to cultivate. And we need to watch the 5 object-determined mental factors of your mind with the cell phone. You see it, your desire, your understanding of cell phone, you are so mindful with your mind, your cell phone, and you can just with your cell phone for hours without eating and drinking. Then you have a wisdom saying, oh, this is a modern world. I learned from the cell phone. I get the social connection with my friends, and I build something. I become a star in the website, and then I get money. Because, and then you would form a different views with your cell phone. And some of them are true, some of them maybe not, and some benefit for you, some not. So we have to think about it and to watch it ourselves, the 5 object mental factors in our daily life, and then try to make it a beneficial way for our life, okay? Not harming ourselves, including drugs, alcohol, and all that. That we need to practice not to get attached to those things that are harmful to us, okay? So here I basically just use an analogy or just an example to show you how the five omnipresent mental factors and five object-determined mental factors are, and how they are functioning in our daily life with the five consciousness and with the six consciousness. And then I will quickly go further down to the so-called virtuous factors. I will try to see how far I can go. There are 11, and I classify into three groups, okay? The first is called the faith, and the second, diligence, and the third is self-regret, and the fourth is regret to others. I would say that the 3 and 4, the translation may not be that precise. Okay, first, we talk about the faith. Faith is the most important virtuous factors for all the practitioners and for all the people. But we have to believe in the truth, okay, not believing in the erroneous views. Okay, the belief, the faith here is faith in the fact that is true. Okay, so true and false, we talk about that in the 8th consciousness, what is true and what is false. Okay, and we will talk about that later about the phone on the phone Dharma, and we will see what is true and what is false. Okay, so we have to have the faith in what is true and then practice diligently. Okay, and diligent is very important. Even we have faith, we have a good karma, good karmic roots, we have good of everything. But if you just lying down there without doing anything, and nothing will happen. Okay, so diligent is effort, is very important. The third, in Chinese, it means that I can do better, but I did not. I can help you, but I did not because I'm lazy. I can benefit you, but I did not because I want to keep more. I want to keep more time and money for myself. And even though your parents, your siblings need your help, I should do more, but I did not. So I kind of later on I feel like I regret, I should do more. And the fourth one is called regret to others, or shameful. It's like regret to others. It's like I've done something wrong with you. Okay, the first one, self-regret, is I can do more, but I did not. And the fourth one is I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't do it. For example, you made a mistake. I shouldn't say that, you're idiot. But I said, I said bad words. You are good parents. You try to help your children, to have a good grade, to go to the good school. But unfortunately, he or she, your daughter, your son has something, they are still young, still little. They attach to something, they do something wrong. And then you just scold them, you in front of their friends or in front of their classmates, your behavior make them lose their confidence in themselves. You shouldn't do to others you've done. Then if that's the case, we feel shameful. I shouldn't do that to you. And the third one is I should do more, but I didn't. Okay, so these two are very important mental factors for practitioners. to overcome our afflictions and also overcome the so-called bad scenario in our life. Okay, no matter what, this is easy said than done. Okay, so no matter when people treat us very badly, and if we can generate this two mind, and at least we can easily accept what is happening, and will initiate a good mental factors to do better, to do good things to others. Okay, if we really cannot change the situation. So the faith, diligence, self-regrets, and regret to others, these four are not only very important for our daily life, and it's also very important for all the practitioners. And these are the four mental factors that are constantly mentioned in our retreat by our master. Okay, faith, diligence, self-regret, I can do more, I can do better, and feel shameful about what I have done to others that hurting others. Okay, embarrassment. That's the four. And I may not have time because I'll talk about the rest of them next week. I will quickly go through the item. The term is the 5th, 6th, 7th is called absence of greed, absence of anger, and absence of ignorance. Okay, and oftentimes we talk about three poisons. Three poisons are the greed, the anger, and the ignorance. And these are the three key roles that developed further very complicated mental afflictions. Okay, so in the state of no greed, in the state of no anger, in the state of no ignorance, are very, very precious, virtuous mental factors. Okay, when people offer good things for you, when you can have more good things, and watch yourself, is that a craving? Is that you're too greedy, or I really need it and I want it? Okay, so when people say bad things about you, when people mistreat you, can we be in a mindset of no anger, but still handle things properly without anger? Not easy. When we are in the scenario of not knowing everything, can we try to understand things and not be fooled by superficial phenomena? Okay, just like our election right now. So many rumors, so many gossip, or so many things. What everyone says sounds right, but what everyone react? Can we react without ignorance, not fooled by something, and really know what you are really good to this country, and not say bad things for each candidate, not saying bad things to what they have done in the past? Without ignorance, it's difficult. Okay, so I will stop here. I will continue. This four is even in a deeper level, not easy. So I will talk about that, continue that that's next week. Okay, so here I finished my talk here.
Thank you, Fashi. I think we have last time Miranda Pusa wanted to ask question and we didn't have the time, so we will give her the first opportunity to ask questions.
Good morning, or actually almost good afternoon in New York. Thank you very much for the presentation. This is actually really good. My first exposure to this concept of the consciousness was way back, I think, with Chang Hwa Fashi when she was here in Vancouver. So this is actually really good in that it further helps me understand. My question from last week was about the seed of sprouting. We want to prevent the seed of sprouting and to go into the storage, if I understand this correctly. And also how the seed plays into our omnipresent factors, about the volition part, about the sensation part, where the seed fits in that picture. I'm referring to the slide that actually has the comparison of sensation and perception of omnipresent factors and the aggregates. So that would be, let me see, that would be 87 and then 88. So the seed of sprouting that we were talking about last week, or that was mentioned, that was taught to us last week, we want to stop that seed of sprouting of bad karma or to go into storage. Could you clarify that, or did I get this all confused and where it fits in today's picture? Thank you.
Okay. The seeds. Thank you for your question. Okay, so we need to I'll try to relate it more in the whole story here. Okay, so let's see. There is a seeds. Okay. So this is a one type of and most popular classification of the seeds in the eighth consciousness. So there are two types of seeds. Okay, the seeds of designations is so-called is equal habitual tendency, and that include, you know, I see apple as an apple, not orange. Okay, this is, I need to understand that. Okay, and but this kind of, how can you know that this is an apple? You need to have the you have seen that apple before in this life. Okay, that's one type, and the other type is karma. Okay, so what the first type is through learning. Okay, and the second type also have equal habitual tendency, and also the so-called the seeds of different properties. So when we commit a karma, here, when we have a contact with that part is complicated. I need to get involved the form Dharma first. But I say it, I hope that you can get a sense of it. When I see my boss, she's really mean, right? When I see that boss, and then automatically this is seeing him get the information, get the data from the eighth consciousness, and tell me that this is him, this is my boss. And when I activate this kind of discrimination of telling that this is my boss, at the same time, the similar seeds regarding him will co-arise for the sixth consciousness to make judgment, to make consideration. Okay, so when the sixth the consciousness, for example, I get information, I hate him. But since I'm a practitioner, I know that I cannot hate him more and more. I have to stop this scenario. then the sixth consciousness make consideration. If you remember, the sixth consciousness make consideration like, I hating my boss will not do any good for me. I might lose my job. And on the other hand, I'm a practitioner. I will generate more hatred with this person. So this is no good. So eventually my sixth consciousness, the judgment, the determination and decision will say, okay, I need to try to be nice to him. Okay, so this judgment, this determination become a force to perfume or to scent the seeds that is sprouting in your eighth consciousness, telling you that you don't like this, you hate this person, and through this perfuming, it's kind of I hate him. This hate is very strong in my mind, but my sixth consciousness tell myself, let hate him more, hate him less, hate him last. Okay, so you scent it, you perfume this seeds that sprouted in your eighth consciousness become less powerful, and less influential. Okay, but it's still equal habitual tendency. You have less hatreds with your boss. Okay, but for the theory of eighth consciousness, that this is called the change of quantity. You perfume your seeds, less powerful and less powerful, but the seeds won't disappear because it's equal habitual tendency. We can only practice to for example, to not to let this sprouting anymore, but the seeds is still there. Until we will talk about that in the last talk. What is the super mundane Dharma? Until we practice, until the seventh consciousness transform the attachment to I to last to a certain level, then the seeds stop sprouting, and then when we get to the highest level, the seeds just transform into the wisdom. It's called the change of quality. Okay, so anyway, it is a very important question for the big scope of the 100 Dharma itself, but I cannot explain in more clear way without explaining all the 100 Dharma. Okay, can you understand? No sound. All right. So maybe next question.
Sorry. Hi, I'm back. Hi, sorry. Yeah, we got a little bit of a microphone technical issue. Yes, thank you very much for trying to condense something so deep and so detailed into a concept that I can relate to. In fact, I have 4 of those bosses whom I'm working with, so this will be excellent practice for me. And I'll definitely take into the different factors of the 6 consciousness and work on that. So appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Qin Qin Pusa also raised, I don't know if it's she or he, raised the hand. So please ask your question.
Yes, thank you. Chang Hwa Fashi, how are you? This is Qing Qing from Purdue University.
Oh,
You have visited a long time ago. I don't know if you still remember, you've been in my house. But anyway, we hope to invite you back for the society, the Buddhist Society someday. I do have a question following the person before me. I think that I'm glad you mentioned, because my question was originally that I was going to confirm with you that you said the 6 conscious actually affect the seventh conscious, and with adding on the idea of I, that it goes back to the six, and then initiate or causes the affliction and increasing that. But you just said something about the seven actually could lower down the I concept and then kind of go back to the six. So maybe in the next time you will be able to clarify that, but I just wanted to let you know that I got the message of the between 6 and 7, and then now I'm heading more on the A, the involvement of the A. So it is complicated, but you can correct me if my understanding was wrong with between the 6 and 7.
Yeah, I will. I squeeze all the transformation of the consciousness into the wisdom to the last talk about, the super mundane Dharma, because there is a past. Let me see. Maybe okay, here. But not this one. So this is the 5 stages that the consciousness schools talk about, the 5 stages of practice. Okay, so sorry, it's not all in English yet. So from here to here, and through actually, because seventh consciousness is so subtle, you cannot see, you cannot feel it, you cannot practice on it. The only significant mental activity is the 6th, 7th consciousness. So all the practice is on 6th consciousness, and the 6th consciousness, the purification or the transformation of the 6th consciousness directly influence the purification of the 7th consciousness. It's kind of like, how do you say that? Both way, the win-win kind of situation, or lose-lose kind of. The 7th, the 6th win, then the 7th win. The 6th is lose, the 7th lose. And so, and we in the Yogacara we talk about that. Only the transformation will be. Only the major transformation will be 7th and 6th and 7th, and the 5th, the first 5 and the 8th will automatically transform. So the practice is always with the 6th and 7th, and for most of the practitioners, we only can touch the 6th level. And hopefully I'll memorize it, and when I talk about in the last talk, I will mention more about how all the consciousness got transformed through the path to the Buddhahood.
There's one more person raised her hand. Her name is Michelle.
师父阿弥陀佛。The teaching is, excuse me, the teaching is great. Thank you very much. And I have a question about the 6 links of 12 links of the dependent origination. So can we go to the slide?
Okay.
Okay, you mentioned, try to color ignorance, and the master, like the Huineng Fashi, she cut it from the possession stage. The ordinary people, we cut it through the craving. So I have 2 questions. The first one, craving, because it starts from the contact, right? Because of the contact, and we have the sensation, and because of the sensation, we have the craving. And generally speaking, contact could be neutral. But when you reach the sensation, you already start have a feeling, you already start differentiate. You like it or you don't like it, you feel good or not. So why don't we cut it from the sensation? Why we wait until the craving? Looks to me craving is a little bit too late.
Okay.
This is the first question. And the second question, you mentioned Huineng Fashi, they cut it from the possession. So can you elaborate more? How does he cut it from the possession stage?
No, I say he cut it from the ignorance.
Oh, from the ignorance.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
but you also go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So he here the sentence in the Diamond Sutra. He suddenly realized awakening, and that's kind of awakening is like he dropped a certain amount ignorance about the reality, as usually happen to when people get enlightened. You know, they in the daily life they still have the body, speech, and mind actions, but they have less ignorance, so they have less affliction that originally they might have co-arised, but with the dropping of the ignorance, they just don't give rise to the affliction anymore. That's what happened when you drop your ignorance. But again, enlightenment has different levels. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, if we want to deroot it, fundamental ignorance is very hard. You know, the 10th Munis, Bodhisattva, still have the last portion of the ignorance need to drop. But what I'm talking about is when through the practice, there are two types of focus. One is through the right view, or through sudden awakening, you drop the ignorance and you automatically drop all the a lot of afflictions. And the other kind of practice is through like you cultivate your habitual behavior to stop, just like I described in the for the Ching Pusa, that you stop the perfuming your seeds furthermore, you know. And so that's through the habit, you know, you habitually like these things and dislike these things, and then you will take actions habitually and you stop it. That's from the craving part, the craving and the grasping and possession of the so-called the habitual karma. Okay, we should put it this way. And the other thing is about your question about the sensation. Oftentimes in the retreat, we always remind people, don't make yourself become a dead wood, deadlock, sitting there without contact, without sensation, just like a dead person, just like a dead wood, deadlock, just, you know, standing there. Is in the daily life, you know, for the enlightened one, they still have daily life, they still have the contact with the objects, and they still have sensation. They still know that water is hot or ice cream is cold. You know, the weather is cold, they need to put on more clothes. Those kind of sensation, the fire is dangerous because it's burning. Those kind of sensation you cannot let go of, because you need to operate in daily life. And the contact and sensation itself has no wholesome or unwholesome, no virtuous or not virtuous kind of view. It's just a contact and sensation. Okay, with human body, we have a shared common sensation. You know, we cannot sit on the fire, we will get burned out, right? And we only can tolerate maybe minus 20 something, minus Celsius. And we have a body, limitation of body sensation. And that's, it's the karma that we are born as a human being. And we will not try to avoid this kind of sensation or avoid the contact. But through the, you know, I'm cold, but I will not relate it to, you know, this is because of Trump, so I don't have heater. Then this is too much. This is your craving and grasping and possession, right? But feeling cold is normal. Otherwise, you'll be a dead person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit of definition of what stage is the sensation and what stage is the craving. Okay, yeah. I got it. Thank you.
All right.